Qingming Festival.
Do you miss it? Do you miss it?
It's pretty good. I feel like it's definitely a unique experience to be with the family because you don't often have those opportunity to visit your ancestor and people bring food and you go to like deep in the mountains and to find the location and
Hmm.
it's just weird, the whole situation. It's
It's
pretty
very
unique
different.
at least.
It's very
Yeah.
different. Yeah. Okay, I think we can start now. Welcome to Pondering Pandas, a podcast where we
Ooh.
ponder about the confusing modern world and try to make sense of it all. We are your host. My name is Jayden.
My name is Ryan.
What is this
And
topic
just
then?
a April 4th Tomb Sweeping Festival in China.
April
With
April Fools?
no, it's not April Fools, but April 4th. So
April
like
4th.
yeah, April 4th Tomb Sweeping Festival, which is like the Qingming festival in China.
Mm. Does it have anything to do with the number the numbers? Like 4 and 4?
That's a good observation. Yeah. Do you want to explain to the audience what that's supposed to mean?
Well, I don't know if it Oh, does that apply to Mandarin as well? Because
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the number 4 is very closely sounds as death.
Yeah.
The number 4 in terms of pronunciation,
Uh-huh.
and a lot of people will try not to have that number in their lives, whether it's like a
Yeah.
phone number, whether it's a lucky number. But
Yeah.
sometimes, these superstitions can be a little bit much. Sometimes you're kind of stuck with it, but hey, you make the best out of it, though.
Yeah. I think it's really similar to the 13, right? In the Western society. People trying to avoid 13 and all the different
I think that
similar
only
numbers like
I
that.
think that only applies to floors, like 13th floor. But the number 13,
Okay.
I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But for us, it would just be the number 4 itself.
Yeah, yeah. It's good that you mentioned about the floor. I do enter some of the condos that apparently they have both like Western and Eastern influences.
Oh
And
yeah, they do.
they're missing so many floors. I was so confused.
So like yeah, so it doesn't actually have 50 floors. It actually has
10, maybe 10.
maybe 40. 39 actually. We're gonna, skip the 40.
Yeah.
And is when you do get a 4 in your like number
Hmm.
sequence, like do you kind of give yourself a excuse to
Hmm.
accept it? Because I do that. I was like, okay, like for example, if I'm going to pick
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
lottery ticket number,
Yeah.
I'm just
Hmm.
like, yeah, I think I need like a 4 in there somewhere. So if I'm gonna pick 4, I always kind of pick 48 because
You have a
yeah,
wow.
because if you combine them, it's like deathly rich.
That's like rich. For the audience, the 8 means like getting rich, right? So it's like
And
you get
yeah,
more money, you're getting rich.
yeah, or pick 84,
Amazing.
like rich to death.
Rich, amazing. Or
Yeah,
four
so
six, right? Like
what is 6? What's 6?
deathly smooth.
S-
Deathly smooth, something like
Smooth.
this.
Where does smooth come from?
Oh, so the 6 is not a good number in Cantonese culture.
Really? I didn't know this.
It's good number in Mandarin culture. So I'm not sure about like,
Oh, I
Cantonese
didn't know
culture.
that.
Yeah.
So so the lesson here is stay away from numbers.
That makes total sense. So April 4th Qingming Festival or Tomb Sweeping Festival is
Yes.
basically a festival where we gather together with the whole family and to visit your ancestor where their
Yeah.
tomb located, and you bring your offerings, you bring all the gifts, and you bring all the family people and to pay respect. And it's a yearly like routine you have
Hmm.
to do. And as Jayden just described, the date is really interesting because that's two fours. So
Yeah.
that's associated to death, maybe. I think that's a new discovery I had here. That's interesting.
Do you have any stories about this festival that you remember that you can share? I
So
want to know
we,
if it's different from what I remember.
yeah, I think it should be very similar. It's funny enough because I didn't have this experience until like very recently because we live far away from our ancestor, like older than our grandparents and the grand grandparents and stuff. So it's really hard for us to make a yearly trip to those places. And also, due to historical reasons, some of the heritage, some of the history is being like missed. So there's a lot of discovery to be made to be saying like where is our true ancestor and who they are and what's the history of our family, and it has been missing due to modern
What?
Chinese history.
What if you've been doing this tomb sweeping festival for the wrong ancestors this whole time? Like the wrong tomb, but with the same family name. Like they're like, yeah, I don't know you. You're not part of my family tree, but sure. You're like my third family tree that is non-existent in my bloodline, but if you want to, like
It could be. I mean, for the surrounding ones or the older ones, it's so easy to be, mistaken. I feel like people have a lot of debates. Anyways, so I just had this experience recently. I basically just joined this journey and go back to the hometown where you have more family members you don't know.
okay.
Basically, they are your family, but you're not familiar with them. And apparently, you have the same ancestor, right, together.
Right.
So you basically pick a right date, which is the April 4th, and you prepare all the foods. Like it usually involves like chicken and
Okay.
some porks, fruits like the apple, and you bring all the paper offerings.
When you're saying chicken and pork, you don't mean like a piece of chicken. You mean like the entire carcass.
Entire chicken.
The
Entire
entire
chicken.
like the head, the feet, and the
Oh,
pork as
everything.
well, right? Like the pork, it's like the head and like the feet as well, right? Like they have the entire thing. It's there. It's like roast pork.
I think the entire pork is more like a Canton culture.
Oh, okay.
You're mentioning about the roasting pork, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The crispy like roasting
Yes.
pork. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
that's really Canton culture.
Oh,
That's really
okay.
Canton
Okay.
culture.
Okay. Keep going. Keep going. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we have the whole chicken and we have the piece of the pork. We have some other things prepared, and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so we have the paper offerings. Like I don't know how to describe it. Do you have better words? Or
They are kind of related to Buddhism religion in a sense, and like
oh
I think they are. There's some sort of designs into them, and you can you basically burn the thing. You burn the paper to provide the offering to whoever it is that you're giving prayers for. So this is
yeah
my understanding. So whoever knows this a little bit more, I don't know. This is just my understanding.
yeah
So it can be like this gold paper, you can burn money, not real money, it's fake money, like
yeah yeah
this
yeah.
this presumed like $10 million bill thing that people drew on this paper that you can just burn. Or like you can burn a boat, you can burn a house, and you can burn like
Yeah.
this extravagant like paper origami thing. Or you can like burn them a car too if you want to. It's like not a literal
Exactly.
car, but it's a paper car, and like
Yeah.
presumably like they can use it like in the afterlife.
Yeah.
That's the belief. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they have a name in the English translation. It's called the ancestor money.
Okay.
As you said, it's basically just offering the money for your ancestor to live in another world.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically like a family competition or something like this to make sure that it has enough money to use so it can keep giving us the blessing or whatever in our current life. think, I think
Are we
that's the idea, right? I think
are
that's the
we hold
idea,
on.
right?
Are we including inflation? Like do they have inflation?
Exactly. I was like, there's no limitation regarding how many zeros you can have, right? In those monies and bills,
Oh my
and
god, they
how do you
definitely have
compare? Like,
inflation. 100%. Like if you randomly just have these random dollar bills just drop in on 4th of April, like
yeah.
100% inflation.
So imagine your ancestor is waiting every year to get the bill, right? So if you miss one, they will struggle for another year, right?
Oh my god.
So
Don't die,
so
guys. Don't
sad.
die.
Anyways, so yeah, basically that's the experience we have. I don't know why the tombs are so deep in the mountains.
Wait,
Maybe
yeah,
that's
tell
something
tell
we
me about
can.
the journey. Like what does that look like?
Yeah, so we wake up really early in the morning because
Uh-huh.
we have a journey to go deep in the mountains.
Yeah.
And basically, we prepare all the foods and all the offering,
Yeah.
and we need to dress properly as well. Like, basically, you have the black clothing or I
Mhm.
don't know,
Nothing flashy.
nothing flashy. And usually, after 1 hour, you arrive at the place.
Mhm.
And it's not really visible for the outsider because it's usually not really connected to the proper roads. It doesn't really have a clear indicator like where this direction is and how. And people basically memorize the things and they lead us to the place. And I cannot recreate the journey myself if I don't really take notes carefully and stuff like this. So it's a really mysterious like experience for me because I feel like, oh my god, I'm entering a mountain or the forest without knowing like where I'm going. And then you enter like a place where all the family tombs are there related.
Like yeah, where all the tombs are.
Yeah, we're all
Like the
okay.
graveyard? The graveyard?
Yeah,
The
graveyard. Yeah, that's
Okay.
thank you. Fancy word. I
Okay.
like it.
Okay. I don't know if that was correct because I don't think it's very much of a yard. So
Yeah, so you will see like on the mountain or on a slope, there's all like the tombs will concentrated. So it's a graveyard, and it just
uh
suddenly appears
like it just
after you like
it just comes out of the ground.
just come out of the ground after you turn some random like corners on the road and you start to see, oh, this is the place, right? You didn't know until you have some turns or corners.
Okay.
Yeah. Then basically just have this offering process started,
Ri- yeah, like ritual and all that stuff.
ritual, and to say some words to the ancestor,
Mhm.
burn the cars,
Mhm.
houses,
Yeah.
ladies,
Yeah.
whatever, whatever that is, and
Okay.
to make sure they are happy. And yeah, so that's the journey for me.
Okay. It-
Anything different from your culture? I feel
I
like
think you're
that's very
I
same.
I think you're leaving a lot of stuff out, but like okay, this is my version and how do I say this? Like this happened a very long time ago before I moved back to Kent. I might have gone back once
Hmm.
very early to drop my sibling off. I think that might have been back in like the 2000s, maybe.
Wow, long time
Yeah,
ago.
yes, very long time ago. So, what I
Where
remember
when we still have the tradition.
exactly. So, we lived in the city. We would have to drive into the villages to have our family gathering where all
Hmm.
of our
Same.
families would gather. We basically know all the family that are there. But what's really interesting at that point, we would then drive to the mountains, and there's always this random set of strangers that are probably in the surrounding areas of the tomb mountains. It's
Hmm.
like a village.
Hmm.
And then I think these villagers comes with us. I don't know the details, but
Why?
I
Wow.
don't know
Int-
them. I don't know them, but
uh-huh.
they help us carry the food. They help us carry our offerings, and like they would probably like lead us to like where our tombs are and stuff. So
I see. Rich family. I see. Rich.
what? No, but like, no, but like, because because this is just my
You're
memory. I don't
hiring.
know.
You're hiring the helpers. You're hiring.
I think so. I don't know. I guess no, because everybody has to chip in. Like because going to this
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
festival going to this festival
It's
is
a community. It's a
expensive.
community thing.
It's
Yeah.
expensive. Like we have like the roast pork, like the entire
Hmm.
carcass. Everything is like big. And then there's also kids that go, like family kids that we know. And then there's
Hmm.
these random village kids that we don't know that also like tag along and just come with us. I
Hmm.
think they kind of come for the food and also for the service, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we would hike up this mountain, and it's like a real hike. And sometimes it's, crazy weather, sometimes it's not. On good days, and it could be very, very sunny. I think when we get to the tomb site, the grave ish site, it's not very
Uh-huh.
much of a yard. It's more of like a mountain, and there's like
Yeah.
graves along with it. And it's like full of
Slope, right? It's like
bushes.
a slope.
Yeah, it's like full of bushes, full of trees. And it's not like clear cut grass. Like I'm talking about like forest, right? And
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
bushes everywhere. And then when we get there, they have to cut down a lot of the plants that is covering the tombs to expose the tombs that we're gonna
Ooh.
do the festival, the offerings to. And then after all this clearing, like, yeah, we see the gravestones and the writings on it. And then people would start burning candles, senses, and then they would start burning the offerings. And then they would offer, the prayers, and everybody has a turn to do the praying, would burn the money and offer more incenses and XYZ. In my memory, I remember this to be a very, very long process, and it's like
Oh,
a
it's really long.
it's a full day. And
Hmm.
while the adults are doing the work at the time, I'm pretty sure like I'm just, fucking around. And especially when there's kids my age, I remember this one specific toy that they gave me, and it is this bamboo.
Boy. Okay.
No, it is this
Good.
bamboo, like, how do you call it? It's like a bamboo shoot thing
Oh.
where so it's like a little sword, but it's like a wood, and then when you unsheath the bamboo, it's like there's a thinner stick inside of it, and then
Ooh.
you put a pea on the other side of the bamboo, and then you shove it into the sheath. The pea kind of like pops out on the other end, so like we just end up shooting things around
Oh
the
my
mountain with the
god.
thing. Yeah, and then that was kind of fun.
Do you see this some like disrespect for, or it's totally fine?
I think it's because I was so young, and I was just like, just do whatever you want, like kind of thing. Like as long as we're not,
Yeah.
messing up with the offerings and all that stuff. Like I know what's
Yeah,
going
yeah.
on at that point because I know like those food is for ancestors, for the gods. So then after you do all the prayers, we get to eat the food after. Like though that much I understood. And then my mom would
Hmm.
always be like, "Okay, it's your turn to come do your prayers." So like I would
Yeah.
go and do my prayers and say whatever she tells me to say. And then
Yeah,
you
I
have to
can
bow like 3 times after you
say something,
yeah,
like
after you
stuff
say
like this.
whatever you want to say. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I want to. What some of the things that she makes me say is like, oh, I need to be a good son. I need to please pray for my really, really good studies and my good grades. Pray for, good business in the future for the family, and then, and then we would bow and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then all the food would come all chopped up, like right there on the mountain, and then everyone would get to eat some. Like the people we do know and the people that we don't know either, they would also eat, from what I
Yeah, so
remember.
I wonder like so first of all, I agree that the whole atmosphere is really serious, but at the same time it's playful in a way. So I want to draw a comparison in a way
Yeah.
that I feel like in the Western culture or the ceremonies we see here is more serious. the ones you see in the church or see like in the graveyard, it's more like, have a silent time with the ancestor and people are being really serious and being like really calm. I think that's the tone.
I think it's a little different in
Yeah.
context as well, because I personally don't know if those people that we're praying for and at, if we actually know them. Like, I don't know that. Maybe my parents would know them or know of
Yeah.
them, but it would be
But
no direct relatives to that. But I think in the West, it's kind of like, oh, this is my grandmother's grave, or this is my mother's grave.
mhm.
So therefore, it might be a little bit different in context. And it's not a specific April 4th that you go, but
Yeah.
it's more or less like on the day or around the days when they passed and when they,
Mhm.
like, those are the times when you go to the graves and visit them in the West, I believe. At least that's what I know.
Mhm.
So I think that's why it's a little bit different in terms of context, because in
Mhm.
on April 4th, like, it's more of a everybody go kind of thing for like
Yeah.
ancestors, but we don't necessarily know them, I don't think. Do you know them?
No. I think it's really funny because we go with the whole family and in the
Yeah.
graveyard, and they are basically, they have their closer, the first cousins, like they're like
Mm-hmm.
close relatives and their
Mm-hmm.
own like grandparents and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually very interesting, like
Dynamic.
into dynamic, because people are going for their own targets, and but that we're all like unite together and to do some praying together, and also we are sharing the foods as you said and everything. So
Sharing
it's
gossip.
sharing gossip. Yeah.
How is your child doing? How is your child doing? Oh my god, he's going to this university? My child. Oh, let me tell you how bad my child is. And then they're gonna
Or
go to your child and just be like, did you hear your third cousin is in Yale or in Harvard? And what the hell are you doing? You're at home playing video games.
yay. Sounds like a victory. Yeah,
Uh,
so they will also discuss about like how the ancestors relationships together, right? Regarding like my grandparents, and if they have some brother and sisters and they are in the same graveyard.
mm-hmm.
And they will like share some stories regarding how they interact with each other and how they are now in the same place, something like
Mm-hmm.
this, and how like they used to do something and together, and it's really funny, right? Like, oh, he's the bad boy in the family and stuff like this. So yeah, I feel like the atmosphere is more, I don't know, it's supposed to be a really serious situation, but everyone seems to have a lot of fun together in a way.
In a
So
way, it's like a family gathering with the purpose of offering things to the ancestors, and as well as there's like a sense of community and food, and
mhm.
yeah, there's just this sense of sharing together, this rare occasion of multiple types of family that are together. Like your first cousin,
Mhm.
second, third, and third cousins are there. Like you don't really
Yeah,
see them until these type of
forever.
family, yeah, these type of family gatherings. And
Yeah.
for me, they're like, I don't necessarily see them until I go to those villages, in because they never moved out, and because my parents moved
Yeah,
out
true.
of the village into the
Same,
city.
same here.
So
Hmm.
if we ever go back to the village, like, they are always there, so that's when we go see them. And then
Hmm.
we would go to like a different rural area to do this tomb sweeping festival thing. So I didn't even know it was a festival, because yeah, I guess I was never taught that it was a festival thing, and I thought it was just this specific date once a year that we just kind of go because our
Yeah.
family time to like go do it around this season, I guess.
I think it's a connection with your ancestor. It actually reminds me of that animation movie.
Which
It's like
one?
a Mexican culture where they have this relationship with their ancestors after death, and they are like connecting with them in those
Mm,
situations.
is it Milo?
It's about the music. Sorry, I'm so bad with names.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, it's called Coco. Yeah, Coco.
I got one letter right.
Amazing, you nailed it. Yeah, it's like the movie Coco, right? So you have a really close relationship with your ancestor. You are not afraid of the death because it's supposedly in the tradition or in the beliefs they are gardening you. They are like having the best wishes for you,
Mm.
and you are paying for their like life expenses in the other world as well by by burning them the money. So it's a family relationship, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's really close, right, for me.
Is that what you actually feel? Do you feel connected to your ancestors when you go to this festival? Because I only remember it when I was very, very, back in 2000. So it was a really long time ago. If I were to go back, like, I think I would just absorb this event in a completely different perspective and viewpoint at this age.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's different. So
It's
it might be a different
definitely,
vibe for an adult.
I feel a similar way because I'm not sure because I've been living here abroad myself for years, and even back in China we have a really small family with my parents. So basically we're living in another city,
Mm.
and all those further relatives who live in the village. So
Mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
always feel like it's those occasions we bring people together naturally. Like I feel like this is the most natural reason to bring a family together.
Yeah.
For me to feel like I have all the people supporting me spiritually at least, and people will call themselves like family together, and we belong to a greater group. And yeah, that's a good feeling for me.
Mm.
And it's also a good reminder for me because sometimes I'm not sure if that applies to you, but for me, for many times when I'm facing the challenges or when I'm thinking about what my goal is for my life and what's
Mm-hmm.
my, future, it's oftentimes very self-centric. That thinking like what I wanted and what kind of like career I want to chase and what I want to do.
Okay.
But the opportunity for me to reunite with the family and also meeting with them actually gave me more sense of purpose in a way because I heard story from others. I heard, the family stories from the history. And my father really likes to tell me about like, oh, you have this ancestor. He used to be a general, whatever, and he protects people in some way. And that's why he's respected afterwards. So those historical contexts actually give me more reflections regarding who I am and where I'm coming from and what's the purpose I'm trying to bring to this world, instead of just looking at my like day-to-day life and thinking about, oh my god, how to deal with certain challenges.
So you get to connect with your roots a little bit more because you get to
Hmm.
hang out with your family a bit and you get to observe and connect with other members of your family to be able to relate at that rare moment of family gathering. Because it
Yeah,
reminds
because
you a little bit more of, I don't know if daydreaming is right. It's just kind of like allows you to be a little bit more grounded in terms of like where your roots are from, and you get to
mhm.
reevaluate your reflections from there.
Yeah, because when you look at the history, you feel like really empty, right? Like
Mm,
what happened in the past and how the world is shaped by those major events. But
mm,
with the family perspective added, it will actually give you a perspective regarding where your ancestors were in those moments and what they were doing and how they are contributing or they are like making a difference in those situations. And you feel like, yeah, the history is not that far away or distant. It actually is part of our lives, right? We are living our life, but at the same time, we are making the history ourselves. And and I'm not sure about you. I'm also a person that often lacks of confidence. I feel like, what can I do, right? What I'm capable. But with those ancestors' stories, you feel like, yeah, maybe I can do something based on, they can achieve certain things and they have different occupations from like the doctors and to like the general and to the governor. So you basically feel like, it's interesting they can do all those different things. So why can't I do something interesting as well? Right.
I
So,
think everybody does struggle with some sort of confidence issues, and I think they lived in a completely different time than we did, and they made something out of their lives. I guess your family sounds like there's a lot of history. It sounds like they have done a lot with their lives in terms of your family history. And I
um,
don't know much about mine. And I don't think my parents know much about theirs either. But I mean, I haven't asked them, so who knows? I've never really
yeah.
heard them talk about it.
Yeah. I think you can ask your mother for sure because I feel like as my parents get older,
Hmm.
especially my father, he started to cares a lot about ancestor and roots in recent years. And that's why he's spending more time in searching and discussing with different people because it's a mess essentially. As I mentioned, many of the pieces being lost during the wartime, during like the Cultural Revolution, and during all those randomness happen in the modern Chinese history. And it's a really hard job to trying to find the pieces and to actually find your roots. I went back to China last year, and there's some far relatives visiting us from like at the other end of China. So it's really far away. It's like thousands miles apart. So we never have a chance to connect often. To say, I never visit back our roots. So we want to looking for the village where their parents or their grandparents lived.
Hmm.
So I feel like that's something is happening. It's interesting, and I do believe it offers more meanings to people at their age. They feel like, okay, I have basically done with my life. It's time for them to seeking for meaning and seeking for more connection with the ancestry roots.
Yeah, I don't know how to relate to that yet, but the only thing that I can relate to that is I have been kind of digging back into my Asianness, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Just because I've just been in an environment that's like super Western, right?
Hmm.
Just the identity of being Asian is so challenging for me growing up in the West. So me trying to figure out my roots in like the daily living of an Asian is the type of root digging that I'm currently on, right? So if I'm gonna do
Yeah.
more, I'm gonna have to talk to potentially my grandparents, and I don't know if they would remember any of this stuff, and I don't even know how to bring up the conversation. I don't even know how to say it in Chinese. Like, what do you even say? I'll be like direct translation. I'll be like, grandma, do you know like the tree root of our family? Like what happened? Um, what did we do? Anything notable, I guess? Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. We're definitely not
It'll
generals. I can say that much.
you never know. Because if you dig back to your family tree, essentially you will see you have a common ancestor that connects that wild umbrella of the people in the end.
Okay, I am part of like
You
a really famous one,
Yeah, exactly. So basically all their stories is your story in a way.
but I don't know how related we are to that famous person.
It doesn't matter because for the time being we are all distant
Mm.
compared
Because
to
we have,
the famous person.
because on my mom's side, they have the famous last name.
Yeah.
You might have given prayers to him too, so who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, it give me some role models, right? Because I tend to be a rebellious person and I'm living alone away from my family.
Hmm.
So sometimes I question my decisions, right? But I'm look into the history and they have a really famous ancestor actually just be a really rebellious guy and break up with his family and go to another place and start a whole journey. But later he was worshipped by his accomplishments and everything. And this actually gave me many motivations in a way. I was like, okay, so I'm not the only bad person here in my family. So
And there's nothing wrong with being the only bad person in your family
yeah,
tree. Like, there's like somebody's gotta do it, you
yeah,
know? Like,
exactly.
somebody's gotta get out of the family business. Somebody's gotta do something that's
It's
meaningful to them.
crazy.
So,
Yeah,
I don't know if you necessarily need to go back to your roots to figure that out. But if it provides you some sort of comfort, I think
exactly.
it would be an interesting avenue to explore for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because I can imagine that if one day my father comes to me say, "Oh, why are you doing this?" and something like this, and you are so like bad, you're not, respecting your ancestor, you're not like, if something happens, I can tell him, "Hey, your ancestor says otherwise," with his own experiences. Your grandfather did not agree with you.
Interesting.
I'm not sure how meaningful that is, but yeah, that's the interesting part for me at least. I have one question.
Go
It's a
for it.
really, yeah, for you actually. How do you think about the food sharing part? I always think that's a little bit tricky. Have you ever had the second thoughts or hesitation for the food on site?
The food sharing?
Yeah,
What's wrong with
food
it?
sharing on the graveyard.
Oh, I see. You mean like eating at the environment.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of like sharing a meal with your ancestors. And like, I mean, they basically eat first, like hypothetically, or,
yeah,
religiously,
exactly.
they eat first. And then after the ceremony is done, like, you eat the food. So, in a sense, it's kind of like sharing food with your ancestors.
Yeah, but how do you feel about like? I mean, it's supposed to for them, right? Like,
Are you gonna bury it? Are you gonna throw that out?
I I don't know what's the solution, but I feel like it's really weird because you are offering this to them, and then you just eat them yourself, and uh,
Interesting. Yeah, I guess okay, so Tomb Speaking Festival is not the only thing that this food offering that happens. Like in my family,
hmm.
New Year's, and then there is like,
Oh, really?
yeah,
Oh,
when there's like Buddha or like Guan Yin Day or whatever, like that, my mom would also do that. So we would do like chicken, like fish and all that stuff, and then she'd be like, "Let me do my prayers, and then we can eat after that." So the offering is always there, and I guess it's just been such a practice, and I don't really necessarily think about it. But I don't know. I guess you don't want food to go to waste.
that's a good mentality, and yeah, I don't think there's any problem physically, but sometimes I have those thoughts mentally. So yeah.
Yeah, 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 of course. I understand what you're thinking about. Like, the food has been offered to them, like, why are we eating it afterwards? But for us, it was not considered anything after we have done what we're here, such as the offerings, the prayers with the food. Like, and after all that is completed, like, yeah, eat the food. Everybody eat the food. So then it doesn't go to
Mm,
waste, is the mentality there.
sounds great. So I guess I have my last question here. It's also related to the last questions we draft. How do you see our relationship with the death or the past? Because I cannot help to notice that, yeah, in those ceremonies and in those rituals, we have a fun time with our ancestors, and we are, really have a fun atmosphere instead of a really like serious one, and we want to celebrate together. But we also notice the tombs or the graveyards are often located far away.
Yeah.
It's not something like we are close to. And also, if you go there by yourself in the night, you will be scared, right? So basically,
Yeah,
people are
definitely.
scared, people have the scared, like those feelings. But at the same time, when you look at the Western graveyards, I feel like they're more close to people and they're like more open, like a garden. And
Yeah, it's like a park.
they're like, yeah, they're like a park, right? And there's a living area right close to them,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
people are
yeah.
fine
This
with them.
residential area. Yeah, exactly.
Residential area right nearby.
Yeah.
So how do you think about this whole thing? I feel like this is something interesting.
See, my opinion right now is because I've grew up in the West and I only know what the culture of going to a grave that is your close family, whereas back in China, this tomb sweeping festival seems to be for like distant ancestors, where like they're generations ago. Do you know what I mean? And
Mm.
I don't know if that is true though, and I don't know if that is true for the times that I have been, but I don't know like who is in there. I guess I never bothered to ask. But um well, I didn't. And yeah, maybe this is an interesting conversation for me to ask my parents and my grandparents, and maybe I'll get back
Who's
to you about
trapped
that.
there? Who is trapped
Yeah,
there?
who's in there? Maybe who is in there? I think it's just a different mentality. Like I think it's just more intimate when it's your direct family, and then
Hmm.
in this tomb festival, because it's with like other bunch of family members that you don't necessarily hang out with anyways, and it's like potentially these distant relatives, the vibes and the environment is a little bit different. So I
Hmm.
think the act of the celebration is quite different, and the atmosphere is also very different in those two different settings.
Yeah. So why
Have
we're
you been to a funeral here, like in the West?
not in person, but I
I haven't either.
saw,
I have not,
yeah, I
yeah.
saw a lot of the references
Yeah,
actually.
movies, TVs. I don't know how true they would be, yeah.
Yeah, but I do like drive past some of the graveyards and do see
Yeah.
people, doing some ceremonies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, do you think we have a culture that more fear of death, or we feel like death is something unlucky, or we just want to avoid of talking at all? That's why we just decide to bring the death to far away from the life and to the deep mountains and stuff like this.
I think there is a culture of death that is unlucky when it's within
Mm-hmm.
our vicinity. And
Mm-hmm.
I think in Western culture, it's very acceptable for the patient to die at their own homes
Oh yeah,
if they
yeah.
wished, right? And correct me if
Mm-hmm.
I'm wrong, but like if the house is not yours
Mm-hmm.
and it's not under your name or whatever, then like if you were to die at that person's house, even if it's like family or like in your mother's grandparents or whatever, like that's still considered not okay. Apparently, I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, that's true, I
And
think.
they don't want you to have this type of event that is within their live-in enclosed environment. So I think from a distance, it's something that is respected. Yeah, it's a really interesting thing that I'm not quite sure how to navigate very much.
I wonder, like, will we be more scared for the ghosts from other than our family? It's like we only
Oh,
connect closely with the family, and we are like a little bit scared of other.
like haunting you when they're gone. You're scared of like the close family to come haunt you rather than like a random ghost.
I mean, the family one is supposed to be gardening us, right? So we're supposed to be like, yeah, that's safe, and we celebrate together. But for the deaths or for the graveyard in general, if that's a mix of all the people, and we tend to have more fears or concerns.
I'm not sure. I don't know how to answer that question. I mean, if anyone has interesting stories, please happy share because my memory is very foggy in terms of this tomb sweeping festival.
Do you believe afterlife? Do you believe you'll be somewhat surrounding here, or receiving offers or giving guidance or guarding your family after you die? And do you worry about how people see you? What's the reputation you left or legacy you left after you die?
I mean, if we don't care, like, what is. We're doing so much is just because we want to live in a comfortable life, and whatever happens after that, I don't know. I think since I believe in science and I'm open to possibilities. Like whatever happens, happens, right? Like, there's no control. If I get reincarnated into a
Ooh.
if I get reincarnated to a friggin' slime, like, please let me have those superpowers. That'd be so fun. But if not, it is what it is. And if I get to go haunt people, then I'm gonna go have fun doing it. And
Yeah.
if it's like a complete nothingness, I don't know. I think you just wouldn't know at that point. It's just like sleeping, and
Mm-hmm.
in a sense, is how I kind of perceive it. Like you kind of
Yeah.
close your eyes when you actually fall asleep to like when you awake. The perception of time is like doesn't exist. So
Yeah.
until somehow you'll have another soul to attach to another body, if you believe in that, and then you open your eyes and you see light again, like that's like a new day. Like who knows if that's your body? Who
Yeah.
knows if you're gonna be a slime or not? But like I don't
Yeah.
know. That's just how I'm approaching it, though. What about you?
Yeah. I don't know either, but I'm thinking about how should my, funeral or like how should I be buried?
Oh,
But
do you
I
want to
want
be
to.
cremated or do you want to be buried? Or do you want to be what do you want to
Yeah, I
be?
want I want half myself to be spread in the ocean, so I can be anywhere around the world, and to
Uh-huh.
be eaten by the fish, whatever,
Okay.
to be the seafood and eaten by the people, and
And then be
I
pooped.
don't know,
Okay.
yeah, be pooped, yeah. And another half of me should be part of a tree. I want to be a
Oh, that's
tree,
beautiful. Okay.
yeah, to be a tree, like standing
So
there for
like,
a long
do you want
time
your
and stuff.
bottom half to be on the ocean or your top half to be in the ocean?
Wow, that's deep.
Or do you want wait, like or like which way are we cutting here? Are we doing top and bottom or left and right? Like which way are we cutting? How do you choose? How do you choose?
Yeah,
Like
that's a
left kidney goes here, right kidney goes there.
yeah,
Like
yeah. Where the heart should go, right? So like, yeah.
I don't know if you can choose at that point. If you can do half and half, that would be wild. But I
Yeah.
think it would be really nice to be part of like a living tree or something like that. And I think
Mm-hmm.
there should be like graves coming up where just like a forest of trees that are dedicated for graves instead of
Mm-hmm.
just a wasteland of just tombstones and grass and
Mm-hmm.
gardeners. You know what I mean? I just don't think it's very functional, but hey, it is what it is. But I think we're moving towards a society where we are thinking about land and we are thinking about space and we are thinking about solutions for death. And because our population has skyrocketed to a point where it's so high, and this will be an issue one day. And not everyone's gonna get to go into a grave. So we better figure out
Yeah.
what it is that we might want.
Yeah. Follow me to feed the seafood, I guess.
If there is seafood to be fed by that time. Are we good?
Yeah, I think we have fun together. That's great.
Yeah.
And I need to think about like which half to go. So yeah, long
Good. You go
questions to
ponder
ponder.
about that. Yeah, you go ponder about that. Okay, thank you so much for tuning into Pondering Pandas. If you liked this episode, please share it with your friends, give us a comment, give us a review. Please be kind. This would really help us grow. We appreciate
Yes,
you pondering
please.
with us today. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
See you next
Bye-bye.
time. Bye.